Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Bryan Jenks, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite workflows to get my Kindle notes out of Kindle or the cloud, wherever you have them stored, and into Obsidian for you to do with whatever you wish. If you're interested in this type of workflow and Kindle, stay tuned. Growing up, I love to read. I love to read. I was reading books, stacks of books, all the time as a kid. And given my proclivity for technology, I tend to get a little bit lost in computer and internet space these days. So I find it very hard to actually sit down and read a book anymore, which is kind of sad to me. Most of the books I read tend to be on my week-long vacation where I go up to my family's cabin in the mountains and I just spend a week alone just reading books. And usually I read like a stack a foot tall. It's the one time I can really just focus and get some reading done. That is until I found out about Kindle. I've always heard about these. I wasn't like, I don't really like the idea. They're kind of expensive, and reading off of a screen, isn't that what we're trying to get away from? Well, I was actually surprised. Using one of these, and just with my issues of ADHD, trying to pay attention to things that might be more stimulating, like the computers, versus an actual hard copy book, despite how much I love to actually read, it was actually really easy to focus and read on the Kindle. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons and ultimately how to fit this into a zettelkasten and Obsidian note-taking workflow. And particularly, what are my preferred methods and what do I do? Yeah. So if that sounds interesting, we're going to get right into that. The best ways to support the channel are, if you're going to do it on an ongoing basis, GitHub sponsors because they take no fees, followed by Patreon. If you're going to do like a one-time thing, buy me a coffee, PayPal, or just fine. And if you just want to support me without any money involved, the best thing you can do is like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and that's it. All right, so diving right in. What do I love about the Kindle? Well, I have a Kindle Oasis. It's one of the newer models, and it has this, I can't really show a very great shot because of my setup here, but it has a very interesting shape. So it has this little like blockier portion right here, which gives you a little bit of a grip. So when I'm holding this, I'm usually holding it like this with my thumb on one of the actual page keys, which turns the page. And I really love this design because the top one is where I go forward a page, and the bottom one is where I go back. So my hand comfortably rests on just with the progressive forward motion through the book. So I press the button, it moves me through. I really like how it's not really ergonomic, but like I really like how this works. It's comfortable and it's easy to read. What really makes it easy for me to read on this is, one, it's a screen. I know it's surprising, we're not supposed to be preferring screens to analog books, but I love reading off of analog books, but I just can't do it at home. Like I can't do it in the modern society. I need to be up at my cabin in the remote woods where there's not even cell signal to actually have the ability to be, I guess, bored enough into actually reading an analog book. Not really bored, it's just there's a lack of stimuli. So I read, and I read a lot. These make it easier to read at home when I have all this other technology and distractions and stimulation around. So I really like this because, one, it facilitates a little bit of speed reading in that I can actually make the font bigger. I can do like the pinch motions to expand and contract the text size, which makes it easy to make larger text on the screen so I can quickly scan and finish a page and click, move forward. And that little tactile click and the moving forward a page, a quickly move, a next, and that quick progression in a small way is kind of like a gamified addictive thing where I feel like I'm constantly moving forward, finishing the book. And there's also like little progress indicators, like percentage wise at the bottom. Those types of things, as corny as it is, the gamification of that, or just thinking about it like a game, like I'm almost done, I got 2% left of this book, is motivating to continue to read, which is nice because I want to read, but sometimes other factors get in the way of that. So I really like this because it makes it easy for me to actually get reading done. And plus, it also is sort of a little bit better for the environment because now I can just buy Kindle books, read them, and if I actually really like them, I will go buy a physical copy to add to my library. And if not, I didn't waste the paper. So it is a little bit beneficial in that way too. A little bit more expensive, but I mean, if you can afford it, then why not? And yeah, it's just really, really nice. They also have light settings on here to make the light cool and warm. And by the way, I'm not sponsored or anything like this. This is completely just my preference and opinions on this product, and I really enjoy it. I'm not sponsored, but if you want to buy one through an affiliate link, links to that in the description, but I digress. Love this thing, and it makes it really easy for me to actually get reading done, and I enjoy it. So now how do we fit this into our zettelkasten and Obsidian workflow? Getting notes, taking notes on these books, and getting those notes into Obsidian, into your zettelkasten, and doing something with them. Well, that's what we're going to talk about next. And I almost forgot. You can load your own files onto the Kindle, kind of like an Android phone being like a giant USB drive. You can drag and drop your PDFs and I think even EPUB files for ebooks onto the Kindle and read your own files. So you don't only have to buy things to read on the Kindle. So, pro tip. So because I don't have the ability to screen capture a Kindle, what I can tell you is it's really easy to highlight and take notes on Kindle ebooks. You just push, hold, and drag, and if it goes onto the next page, you just drag to the bottom of the page and it'll take you to the next one. And it's really easy to select and highlight those highlights. And now you can also annotate those highlights, tap, tap, tap out your notes, and now you have notes. But what happens at that point? So on your actual device itself, there is remember, treating this like a giant flash drive, you can drag and drop your own files onto it, but on your Kindle now is a clippings.txt plain text file. It's not the most well-structured file, but it's good enough. And the whole point is that all of your notes and clippings and everything are treated as plain text in a single file that is on your device. Now, it can be a little tricky to parse this information into usable material, but there are several tools, products, services available to make this incredibly easy, and they are all free. I know, that's the best part. So this clippings.txt file is great, but there are also cloud options. Let's just say you want to do something a little bit more robust, and you want to deal with a plain text file and some scripting, coding stuff, and you just want to do with just point-click GUI tools and get the job done simply. Well, there are several options available, and we're going to go through all the ones that I am aware of, and honestly, I don't need to go and look for more because I found a really great way that just works for me. So we'll start off with some of the ones I don't use, and we'll end with the one that I prefer the most. So let's get started. So the first thing we can do is actually just plug the darn thing in, and let's grab the clippings.txt file off of the Kindle itself and take a look at what's on there, at least for some of my clippings. All right, so let's check this out. I don't think I can make this any bigger, but on this open window is my Kindle. The Kindle is just plugged in, it connects automatically, and here we are. So there's a bunch of different things in here. There's Audible because you can, I guess, actually listen to audiobooks on here. I'm not going to waste the space on my Kindle for something like that. And I might use that someday, maybe not. Yeah. So anyways, documents. On documents, this is the important thing. I'm going to organize this by kind here. So on documents, there's a bunch of other different things going on here. I honestly don't pay attention to much of any of this. Yeah, I don't care what any of that is. But right here, my clippings.txt. So if I open this up, it's going to open in text edit. So in here is a bunch of plain text, and this I actually can make bigger. So let's do that. Zoom. So in here, I have a couple different notes, and it looks like they're actually separated by these equal signs. And honestly, I don't look at this file because I don't need to. But this is one way you could technically do these things, is this contains all of your notes for every book that you have on your Kindle. So as you take notes and you're constantly adding notes over time, this thing's gonna get big and unwieldy to manage. Because I've only have like maybe 5 books I've taken notes on, and this is a lot of content. Like to sift through, that's a lot of stuff. You could copy and paste this stuff into Obsidian and manually format, but why would you subject yourself to that torture? There are better ways. But this is the file. When people talk about the clippings file for a Kindle and operating on that, using scripts and pointing it at this file, this is where that file is. This is how you get to that file. And you do that just by plugging in your Kindle going to Documents, and it should be right there, myclippings.txt. Now, another really useful way I played with recently and found that for my workflow, it's not for me, but it might be for you, and it's a really great tool, is the Obsidian Kindle Notes plugin. Now, you can find this plugin on the Community Plugins, browse, you can type Kindle Highlights, there it is, install it, and it will install for you, enable it, great. So now we have Kindle Notes, or Kindle Highlights on here, and it's going to ask you some things and give you some options to go with. Now, I chose to actually put these items in a particular folder because of some of the behavior, but it'll let you pick a directory or a folder to put these new files of your notes into, and you can do that there. Now, book metadata, I just left this as it was default. Automatically sync new Kindle highlights when Obsidian starts. I mean, I would do that, but this only works, and these things only work when you actually sync by connecting your Amazon account through secure sign-on, SSO. So don't be concerned about the security of that. I'll explain more about that, but this is when you're not using just your clippings file. This is when you actually link to the service. Here's where some of the more meaty things are, which is using the Nunjucks template stuff. I honestly haven't done too much of that before, but it looks really reminiscent of things like liquid text or templater. It's not too difficult to figure out. You got your basic if statements and then some formatting of which fields you want there. It looks really atrocious right here because I'm zoomed in a lot, or my face is over it. Yeah, let's do that there. You can see some stuff. So basically, helpful, we also get a list of all these different fields that we can access. Now, if we do the actual, it looks like this is actually the metadata that we can access from Amazon, the ISBN, pages, publication, yada yada, and the actual highlights themselves. All this stuff is available to you as metadata to insert into these new notes. Now, if you're like me, I have a lot of front matter, YAML stuff and things I want to add. You can add all of your front matter, like your tag system, your aliases, anything you want here. Aliases probably won't work because of individual by individual on individual basis, but you can do that for like the full title and have a short title be the actual title of the note. I don't know. But you can actually insert your YAML metadata here, and we'll just play with this right like this. And so I'll do tags, and this will be our Kindle test. That'll be our Kindle test tag. Now, I actually don't want this going to my root because it's going to be obnoxious. I'm going to put it in inbox. So I have all of that, and we made some metadata. I just leave it the default, but you can play around with these. There's a lot of really powerful stuff there. Region, I'm in the US and I'm not in Japan or Spain, so this works perfectly. And reset sync. So this would be reset it if I've already synced something. I haven't. So at this point, my settings are done. Close out of that. What do? Nothing happened. Let's go to my folder, inbox. There's nothing in it. Okay, well, that's not helpful. Darn. So now we need to sync. We actually need to sync the service because I am not loading it from the myclippings.txt file. So there's actually a little helpful icon, sync your Kindle highlights, or you can just do the command palette, Kindle sync highlights, either one, sync it. And because of my theme, it blocks this icon out, so ignore that. But here we go. Upload my clippings file. This is for those of you who do not want to do any sort of single sign-on or secure sign-on with Amazon, the actual service where your clippings are hosted on the cloud. If you do that, let's just say you only use your e-reader as a offline. I drag stuff onto it, I read it on there, I make clippings, whatever, and I want nothing to do with Amazon. This is a route where you can easily avoid all things Amazon and still get some notes out of your clippings. And this is what I prefer to use because honestly, I work for the government. Everyone knows where, what, everything. Like nothing I have is really a secret anymore, plus YouTube. So Amazon. Clicking on this will actually open up a login page for you to log in to Amazon through whatever API or secure sharing of credentials that almost everything does these days. So doing that, I would sign in with my service, which it would pop up. But I think because I've already done this once, that something is remembered, so I don't need to do it again. Yeah. Or I just need to select that option and sync now. Either way. So it might prompt me now. Maybe. Maybe not. All right. And so now, because it didn't prompt me because I've already actually signed in with my credentials before, you will get a pop-up menu that looks normal like Amazon. You just sign in, and you're authenticated. That's it. And then now it's going to do this, where it actually will sync my data from Amazon's hosting area for my highlights. You can ignore this, and done. I now have notes, because now in Inbox, I have the names of the books that I had, and I have, oh wait, here's my front matter, the title, all the metadata, ISBN, references, all this stuff from the actual clippings. And this is my clippings.txt files content, but in here. One little issue I can see already is that these double quotes are not the correct type of double quotes. They're not ASCII, but in any case. So this is a great way of getting your stuff in here. And now, if I added a new highlight to, let's say, this book, The Daily Stoic, and I actually uploaded it, and why don't I do that and come back to you? All right, I just added a new highlight to my book, The Daily Stoic, some Daily Stoic meditations. And you can see right here, location 2559, that's just a point in the ebook itself. And oh, conveniently links to it, I like that. But let's see what happens when I added a new one, and it's further along in the book. But because this is a syncing service, we can actually sync, and you can see right down here, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, uninitialized, and then 5 books synced, last sync a few seconds ago. Why don't we try clicking on this and see if it will sync my new changes to this file? So if I'm going to do that, sync now, looking for new Kindle highlights to sync. Okay, close it out. Nothing on this one, so maybe it actually needs to have it go to a new file, or let's just run the command, Kindle sync highlights, sync now. See, sometimes this has been a little bit buggy for me. I'm not sure why, or maybe it's just that this only does it once. Yeah, so I added a new highlight to the bottom of this one, and it did not grab it. So I think that if I actually delete this note and have it sync, and now that I've deleted it, it needs to add a new version of it, a new copy, Daily Stoic. And so it'll sync, it'll write, great. Now, Daily Stoic, all the way at the bottom, this is my new one. So that can be both a pro and a con. Do you want to have your notes automatically update the minute that you have new clippings? Doesn't seem like it's letting you do that. Unless maybe you want to have new clippings go to a drop point and you can add them incrementally and just pull from the bottom of the list. I don't know. Or maybe your workflow could be, I only drop my clippings into Obsidian when I'm finished with the book and I'm done, in which case this inbox is now a drop point for all of your new clippings. I don't know. So there's a lot of ways that this type of tool could actually be used in your workflow and however you want to structure it. Personally, I am not a fan of this approach for a very specific reason that I'm going to get into next, but this is actually a really great tool I could see many of you using and taking a lot of advantage of and enjoying. So this is the Kindle Highlights plugin in Obsidian. Now the next Kindle Notes extraction tool process workflow is actually my preferred one. And this uses a couple different tools in your browser and is absolutely no code, and it's really easy. So let's take a look at that. So in my browser, I have 2 tabs open right here that I want you to look at, Bookcision and Kindle. So this is the default website for your account. You'll probably be prompted to log in, but read.amazon.com/notebook. This is your notes and highlights from your Kindle. So these are all the books that I have, some notes from. So here's the one I was talking about, Daily Stoic, and here's that note I added just now for the test. So what do I do to get my notes out of this? I mean, I can add note, open Kindle. Okay, how do I get this stuff to Markdown or plain text? Not really easy. So what we can do with this is Bookcision is a little tool added by Readwise. So readwise.io/Bookcision. What we do is we just drag this little icon here to your toolbar, because this, if you hover over it and you look in the bottom left of my browser, I can't make it any bigger. It's actually a JavaScript little function applet thing. I don't even know how you would describe it, but basically you make a little bookmark like this. If I edit that, you can see that this whole URL is basically just a giant piece of JavaScript. And what that does is that now on the Kindle Highlights page where I have my highlights for this book, I can go to the Daily Stoic And I can click this bookmark for Bookcision. And oh, loading highlights, done. Wow, okay, there's some output here. That's nice. Now you can't copy to clipboard, or at least I can't on this browser, which is Brave, because it says you need to have Flash installed. Why it's asking for Flash? I have no idea, because nobody uses Flash anymore. Flash is dead. In any case, I don't download all my book notes often enough to really care about this as much. It's not really that big of a pain point. But if I download as plain text, there we go. So there we go. I can put it into my downloads, but let's put it into my vault inside of my inbox. Save. All right. And now let's go to my Obsidian vault. So if I go to my inbox down here, .txt Kindle highlights, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is actually going to open in a default because it's not Markdown, but really, Markdown is plain text. You could just rename the file. Honestly, it's just easy because all I get is the line of text and then the location where it's at. And sometimes that's all I want. I don't want all the complex metadata. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But for now, this is actually how I've been doing it because it's simple enough to give me what I want, but also really, it's not all as much you can get with the actual Kindle Notes plugin. I might take a deeper look at that and get that set up in the way that I want. For now, this is like the KISS method. Keep it super simple that I've been using for my Kindle Notes. And you can use this too. Now, I might do something more, and I might actually use the actual Obsidian plugin for Kindle highlights. For now, this has been serving me well. So there are a lot of ways to get your notes out of Kindle, to use Kindle, to take notes on Kindle, and hopefully you enjoyed this video and you learned something that would be helpful. Any of the links to any of these products, services, plugins, whatever, will be in either the description or the pinned comment below with all the timestamps. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if you use anything different or how you handle your Kindle notes. Do you like Kindle? What don't you like about Kindle? Love to hear your thoughts about it. Let me know in the comment section below. Again, thank you for watching, and a big thank you to all of the Patreon patrons and GitHub sponsors who support this channel. It's not required at all, but I appreciate everyone who does. It's very motivating to see people enjoy the work, and it motivates me to continue to create more videos and content. GitHub sponsors is the best way to show your support, and I will hope to see you on there.